How are you guys doing? Today is Tuesday, November 2nd, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to do an elite individual profile on Alphonso Davies. The elite Canadian left back for Bayern Munich turns 21 today, and my intention with this episode is, of course, to shed light on everything that Alphonso Davies has done from the moment that he stepped foot in the spotlight, even before he played for Bayern, when he was playing in the MLS for Vancouver Whitecaps, even to where he is right now, recognized as one of the world's best. He was recognized as one of the world's best 11 players as a teenager. He was the first North American-born player ever named to the FIFA Pro Top 11. So just to get a quick look into the player that Alphonso Davies is. He was originally born in Ghana, and then his family they would have to move to Canada, where he would eventually grow up, and he would eventually find himself on the Edmonton International's youth program. He moved to the Edmonton Strikers, and then he ended up on the Whitecaps. He would go on to make his very first appearance for Vancouver when he was 15 in 2016. In his very first season with the Vancouver Whitecaps in 2016 as a 15-year-old, he would go on to start 2 of the 8 matchups he played for a Vancouver Whitecaps team that will go on to finish with the 16th best record in all of the MLS. But regardless, being a 15-year-old and playing for an MLS team like at that level should show that at least this dude was at least ready for that competition at that moment. After his debut, he would go on to play a full-ish season in his second season with Vancouver. In his age 16 season in 2017, he would start 9 of the 26 matchups he played in a season where the Vancouver Whitecaps finished with the 7th best record in all of the MLS. They finished with the 3rd best record in the Western Conference. But taking a quick look out to how Alphonso Davies performed that season, he did happen to finish with an assist. And of course, by that time, he had been noticed by the international team. By 2017, he had officially become a citizen of Canada, making him eligible to play for the Canadian national team. So, of course, that all took place in the same year. Following that season, he would go on to play his third season in Vancouver, his second full season there, and his only season as a starter. He would start 27 of the 31 games he played in a season where the Vancouver Whitecaps would finish with the 14th best record in all of the MLS. And they would go on to finish with the 8th best record in the conference. However, Alphonso Davies would finish with 8 goals and 9 assists in his age 17 season in the MLS. And of course, by performing that well, he drew the attention of who else but Bayern Munich. And once he was signed by Bayern Munich, he was initially delegated to the Bayern Munich 2 team. But looking at what he was doing when he first got there, he would first arrive in Bayern Munich for the 2018-19 season. He was transferred in the summer window going into the fall of he joined Bayern in January of 2019 in that winter window, right before Bayern Munich started going off on their run and becoming one of the best soccer teams in the world. His first season there was 2018-19. In his age 17 season, he only played 6 games that season. And then just for reference, Bayern Munich would go on to win yet another Bundesliga title. At this point, it was their 7th in a row since the 2013 season, in which they won the treble. In that season, they would also go on to win the DFB Pokal. And then, of course, looking out to what Alphonso Davies was doing that season, he would go on to finish with a goal in the Bundesliga in his debut season. And following that year, he would go on to play his second season with Bayern Munich after he would find himself getting promoted to the actual squad. In 2019-2020, he would find himself getting moved up to the left back as David Alaba played more midfield. This is also Niko Kovac's final season as Hansi Flick, who is the current Germany coach now, took over for Bayern as the interim coach. And in the 2019-2020 season, in Alphonso Davies' age 18 season, he would go on to start 24 of the 29 matchups he would play for a Bayern Munich team that won the Bundesliga for the 8th year in a row. At that point, they had won the DFB Pokal for the second year in a row since he had been there. And this year they had after COVID had shortened the end of the Champions League season, they would go on to beat PSG 1-0. And of course, Alphonso Davies was very crucial down the stretch for every single part of that season. In the Bundesliga season, in the 29 games he played, he finished with 3 goals and 5 assists. Of course, at that point, they were highs in both. He has not scored more goals or added more assists than he did in the 2019-2020 season as of yet. Not to mention that in the Pokal that they won, he did play in 5 of those games. And in the 8 Champions League games he played, he would finish with 3 assists. Following that treble, Bayern Munich would go on to win the German Super Cup. They would go on to win the UEFA Super Cup, and they went on to win the FIFA Club World Cup as well. Following that 2019-2020 trophy or season full of trophies, in his age 19 season, Alphonso Davies would start 22 of his 23 games that he played for a Bayern Munich team that would go on to win its 9th straight Bundesliga title since the 2019-2020 season. The 2012-2013 season. And they would also, or that would be the only trophy that Bayern Munich would win that season. They would go on to lose in the second round in the DFB Pokal, and they lost in the quarterfinal of Champions League to PSG, as PSG ended up getting revenge on Bayern for beating them in the Champions League final the prior season. Not to mention that Alphonso Davies in the Bundesliga had a goal and 2 assists in his 23 matches that he played. And following that 2020-2021 season, he would go on to compete internationally with Canada as he would play for the CONCACAF Gold Cup. However, he suffered an ankle injury right before their opening match of the tournament. But Alphonso Davies would come back from his injury just in time for this upcoming Bayern Munich season. And in this season, in which he started out as 20 and has now turned 21, thus far, he has added a couple of assists as he's helped Bayern Munich sustain a record at the very top of the Bundesliga, as Alphonso Davies is continuing to show the world with his blazing speed, his amazing defense, and of course, his lightning quick intuition, why he's one of the world's best players, considering how many global professional soccer players there are. There aren't that many people that can do exactly what Alphonso Davies can do. He's only 21. He's only getting better. He is cementing his name amongst the soccer greats, and I don't even think it's arguable that he is the best soccer player to ever come out of the North American continent, and I just can't wait to see what kind of player he becomes. With that said, I want to thank the Pro Football and the Pro Football Reference websites, Footy Stats, Transfermarkt. I want to thank the various Wikipedia pages that I used, of course, and I want to thank the Bayern Munich, the Bundesliga, and the MLS websites that I needed for the facts and figures as well. I want to thank everyone for listening to all 10 minutes of this episode. I hope all is well. And hopefully by this time next year, I'll have a lot more to say about Alphonso Davies, also known as the Roadrunner. Thanks for listening to this piece. I hope all is well. And once all of today's matchups and exhibitions are done, I will come back tomorrow on Wednesday, November 3rd for another episode of The Elite. So until then, thanks for listening to this piece. I hope all is well, and peace out.